My house turned against them last night. Its lights burned like my anger, its doors locked like my heart, and my voice etched into its circuits, growled, "Get out, this isn't yours." I wasn't there, but I felt every second like a fire I'd lit finally catching. Let me tell you how I reclaimed what was mine. I'm Owen Reed. For years, I built a haven, a cedar cabin tucked against Blackthorn Ridge, where the air smells of damp earth and the stars feel close enough to touch. I drive up from the city, radio off, letting the silence peel away the noise of work, bills, and family. Always family. That cabin was mine, paid for with every late shift, every dream I put on hold. I stained the deck myself, splinters in my hands, building a place that didn't owe anyone anything. Last month, I pulled into the driveway, tires grinding on dirt, and saw it. A silver minivan parked crooked by the porch. A kid's bike lay in the grass. The front door hung open like a wound left untreated. My chest tightened. I sat there, keys cutting into my fist, and heard voices, loud, careless, familiar. I stepped inside, and there was my father, Harold, rearranging my tools like he owned the shed. My brother Caleb walked in with a cooler, his teenage son kicking a soccer ball against my couch. They didn't blink when they saw me. Harold just said, "Owen, didn't know you'd show like I was the intruder." Caleb set the cooler down and said, "We're staying here now. The kid needs space. You've got your loft in the city." I stood there, voice low but steady, and said, "This is my house." Harold didn't look up. "It's better for them," he said like it was a done deal. Caleb added, "You're never here, Owen. It's just sitting empty. Empty." I poured my soul into that cabin. Every beam, every window, every night. I sat on the deck watching the ridge fade into dark. It was mine. But to them, I was just the guy who always said yes. I fixed Harold's roof when it leaked. I paid Caleb's fines when he got in trouble. I drove their kids to school when they forgot. And now they'd walked into my refuge like it was theirs to take. I didn't fight. Not yet. I turned around, got in my truck, and drove back to the city. The cabin's key sat in my pocket, warm and useless. That night, I sat on my couch, the city's drone outside my window, feeling like a lie. I opened my phone, not to call them, but to scroll through photos of the cabin, moonlight on the deck, the fireplace. I'd built stone by stone the ridge at dawn. Then I found my journal app, a list I'd started, not of chores or plans, but of everything I'd given them. $5,100 for Harold's truck repair. $3,000 for Caleb's bail. Years of savings sunk into that cabin. No space for thanks. No room for me. My mom's voice came back to me, saved in a voicemail from before she passed. "Owen, you've got a spine of steel. Don't let them bend it." She'd said it when I was still the kid who mowed neighbors' lawns to cover our rent. I'd been the anchor my whole life. But that night, something cracked open. The silence wasn't defeat. It was the sound of me drawing a line. I didn't call a lawyer. I called Marcus, a buddy who designed security systems for rich folks. He's the kind of guy who treats tech like a weapon. I told him I needed the cabin to fight for me. He grinned, loaded his van with gear, cameras, sensors, speakers, and we got to work. We wired the place like it had a pulse. Motion detectors in every room. Speakers tucked into ceilings. A voice assistant with my voice cold as steel. "This is not your home. Leave now." Pressure pads under the floors to trigger alarms. Lights programmed to flare like a warning shot. By nightfall, the cabin wasn't just a house. It was a sentinel with my name. They came back that weekend right on schedule. Caleb, his wife Tara, their son, and Harold hauling bags like they were claiming a prize. I watched on my phone's live feed sprawled on my couch. Harold saw the sign I'd posted, "Smart Security Active. Enter at own risk." He smirked, tore it down, and said, "This is ours." They walked in with a key Caleb shouldn't have kept. I waited. At 1 a.m., when they were asleep, I tapped activate. The cabin roared to life. Lights blazed red, then blue, pulsing like a storm. My voice thundered through the speakers. Unauthorized entry detected. Alarms wailed, sharp, and relentless. Hidden projectors cast shadows that twisted across the walls. Caleb bolted upright, yelling. Tara grabbed their son, who was sobbing. Harold tripped on a floor sensor and the system escalated. Leave now. The front door smart lock held just long enough to spike their panic. They stumbled out barefoot into the dark, their car swerving down the dirt road. The cops showed up at sunrise, walked the property, and left. System glitch, they called it. No one was hurt. Nothing illegal. Just a house that knew its owner. Harold called me later, voice shaking. What the hell, Owen? I leaned against my counter, coffee in hand, calm as the ridge at dawn. Nothing, I said. I wasn't there. 2 weeks later, I met them at a lawyer's office. They thought they could argue, but the cabin wasn't mine anymore. I'd signed it over to a nonprofit for veteran housing with me as the sole lifetime tenant. Caleb's face fell. Harold's eyes burned. You could have warned us, Caleb said. I looked at him steady. You thought I'd keep bending. You forgot I have limits. I walk the cabin's deck now, the ridge watching me like an old friend. I gave too much for too long, but I'm done being their shadow. This house, this life, it's mine. If you're watching, ask yourself what's been taken from you. What are you ready to take back? Drop it in the comments. I'm here.